Hi, Michael Neese, author of Interview Mastery, the world's most widely used job interview prep software, used in 73 countries and tried by 54,000 people. That's probably been the biggest surprise. But anyway, today I wanted to talk to you about how you can figure out exactly what you're going to be asked on your interview before you get there. The things that creates anxiety and stress is often you're walking into a situation where you really don't know what they're going to ask you and how it's going to unfold. But you have a way to figure it out. You can figure out the toughest questions they're going to ask you, and even some crazy ones. Now, if you create a list of the questions, you can plan your answers. You can practice your answers. And when you're that prepared, you feel confident, you feel empowered, and you know exactly that you are going to be your best, and you know how it's going to unfold. So I thought I'd shoot this quick little video and share it with you so that you can do this before your next interview. So, the first thing you do is you take the job description that you applied for, or you can ask the interviewer, the person that called you to schedule it, so get a copy of the job description. Now, there is the secrets of what they're going to ask you is right in there. So you go through the job description and you highlight the specific responsibilities, things they're going to make you want to do. Now, don't highlight the whole word, just couple of the little phrase. It might be, we need somebody that can multitask multiple projects, or we need people that are competent in using Microsoft Office software, or we need somebody that knows specific accounting and finance principles, or we need somebody that's really good at managing large-scale enterprise-wide projects, or we need somebody that is really good at customer service in particular industries. So just highlight these specific things. You can look in the job description under requirements. This is the first place you can go. And identify those things that they're really looking for. Now, those are what you're assembling here is a short list of what I'd call competencies. Let's not get up, if you're an HR person, I know the competencies are driven by behavior and things like that, but if you're just making a list of the things they're looking for, all right? So it's going to be a word or a phrase. The next thing I want you to do is in front of, just to the left of each one of those, you're going to insert a short phrase. And I'll give you several samples that you can pick different ones. So first one might be, give me a specific example of where you've done blank. And the blank is the specific experience or responsibility that is required for this specific job. Now, if you're a student of behavioral event interviewing, you'll know that what I'm doing is I'm adding little phrases in the beginning here that make it a behavioral event question. And these typically are the most difficult ones to answer. So, again, another sample phrase to insert in the beginning is, can you walk me through a specific situation where you had to handle blank? Or tell me about your experience with blank. So what you're doing here is you're constructing the questions that they're going to ask you. After you do that, we're going to throw in a couple other ones, like the typical ones. So, you know they're going to ask you, tell me about yourself. And when they ask you that at the beginning, they're just trying to get the interview started. And it really lets you know that they're pretty much unprepared. But enough about that. You know that somebody's bound to ask you that. The other thing I want you to do is add a couple other questions that you're probably going to get asked. Give me a weakness that you have and how you overcame it. Or can you tell me about a specific strength that you feel that is unique to you for this position? All right, so we're building our list of questions. So far, we've highlighted the key experiences and responsibilities for this position, and we've inserted a little phrase at the beginning that made it a behavioral event question. So you'll have a list, and it might say, can you walk me through a specific situation of your customer service experience? Or can you tell me about a time when you had to handle a very difficult accounting and finance situation? Right? So you're building up these questions. We also added, tell me about yourself, what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths? All this crap that they ask you. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple of brain teaser questions. So these are these stupid interviewer questions that they think give them some unique insight into you, but they actually don't. But these questions could be things like, how many quarters does it take stacked on top of each other to reach the height of the Empire State Building in New York City? Yeah, okay, so why are they asking me that? So anyway, another question you might be asked is, how many gas stations are there in Canada? Or how many people are flying in commercial airliners over the United States airspace right now? You know, things like this. And if you're using Interview Mastery, you know that the answer is not really important. How you think through coming up with the answer and the assumptions that you're going to make, how you think your way through, that's kind of what they're looking for here. Now, if you happen to be an MBA student, these brain teaser questions are kind of the junior cousin to a case management, a case interview, where they give you a specific business situation. They ask you, how would you handle this specific case? Now, those are a lot more elaborate, but these brain teaser questions are there to kind of get you off guard and see how you handle it. So now what we've done in this short little video, where you have created a list of questions that very high likelihood they're going to ask you, is you went through and you made a list of those, you highlighted those things on the job description, the experiences or the talents and the responsibilities they're looking for. Then you added a behavioral event interviewing phrase at the beginning. Tell me about a time when, walk me through a situation, give me an example where you did this, those kinds of things. Then we added some typical questions like, tell me about yourself, what are your weaknesses, what do you think your strengths are for this position. We also added a couple of brain teaser questions. And another thing you can do is they may ask you a theoretical question. And you know it's a theoretical question if it begins with, what if? What would you do if you were faced with this particular situation? So they might ask you, what would you do if you were faced with a situation where you had to come up with a very elaborate set of financial statements and you were working in accounting and finance, but the boss's boss came to you and they needed a very elaborate spreadsheet that would forecast the next quarter's sales revenue or income statement? How would you think your way through how you would do that? And if you're really good at Excel spreadsheets, you can probably figure that out pretty quick. So you now you've added a couple of theoretical questions. And the last thing I want you to do, which you've heard me mention this many times, is you create a list of 5 questions that you're going to ask at the end of the interviews. So there you have it. You have created a list of questions that you're most likely to get, and now you can plan your answers. And if you remember from some of the other videos that I described to you, you're going to give them you're going to tell them a structured story for each one of these. And in your structured story, you're simply going to describe, here's what was going on before I took action, here's what I was doing when I took action, and here's the results that resulted from my actions. And if you've been through outplacement, you know, this sounds like situation, action, result. You know, SAR. What I did is before, during, and after you were taking actions. So for each question that you wrote down you got from the job description, plan your answer and just think through what projects or what either volunteer effort, work experience, academic projects that you've worked, or life experience that you've worked on that provides evidence to your interviewer of your specific skill in that area. All right, you got it? You're going to rock out the next interviews. You're going to be awesome.